What's up guys, it's James here, and in today's video I want to talk about a $144 billion opportunity that is happening right now in the United States of America in Airbnb. So this is a really cool video, and I basically am going to update you guys on an opportunity that's emerged over the last couple of weeks and honestly the last month or so even, specifically in the US, specifically in Airbnb and in Airbnb property management. There's this really big opportunity, the likes of which we haven't seen in over a decade. And I know that's probably surprising to a lot of people when they were looking at just a few months ago, things were looking very bleak for Airbnb, where bookings were down to all-time lows. The company had to lay off a huge portion of their workforce. And now suddenly, if you've been following the headlines at all, you'll see that there's a massive surge. And in recent months, Airbnb bookings in the United States have actually been up compared to the same time period of 2019. You're probably thinking, how the heck is that? And if you look further into the data, you'll realize that competition on Airbnb is at an all-time low while demand is at an all-time high. And so there's this massive opportunity. I really want to break that down in this video and talk to you about why it's happening and also how you can take advantage of it, whether or not you own any properties on Airbnb without having to buy anything, not having to rent anything, how you can really get in on the action here. And so before I get started, as always, if you're new to the channel here, please consider subscribing. We post 2 new videos every single week relating to all things Airbnb and Airbnb property management and how to make money on Airbnb. So if that's something you're interested in, then just subscribe to the channel for 2 new videos every week. And also if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me dramatically with the YouTube algorithm. So if you just take a quick second, click the little like button below this video, that helps out a lot as well. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about why this is happening. Why is Airbnb and demand for Airbnb surging across the United States right now? What it really boils down to, simply put, is domestic travel. And when I say this is a $144 billion opportunity, I'm referring to the amount of money that Americans spend internationally on tourism every single year. And so when you look at America as the second largest country in terms of their annual tourism spending. Now, typically Americans spend $144 billion, like I said, around the world on tourism, whether that's booking flights, booking hotels, but that money gets scattered all over the world because typically Americans travel all over the world. What's happening this year is very unique. Obviously, as you guys know, Americans, just like pretty much anyone else in the world, can't really leave their home country. Now, what that initially meant when everything was in complete lockdown was that they just weren't spending money on tourism. What's happening now is that you're seeing a lot of domestic travel booming, and a lot of that $144 billion is being spent. It's just not being spent in other countries like it normally would. What's happening now is that because Americans are confined to their own borders, their own national borders, they're forced to spend that money domestically. And so now there's so much money that's circulating around the US, and that's causing a huge surge in demand for Airbnb properties because people are traveling domestically. People are traveling, whether it's a couple hundred miles away from their home, they're taking domestic travel. Ideally, they're driving there. That's what happens to be the trend right now because a lot of people also don't want to get on flights. So they're driving to destinations and they're staying relatively close to their hometown, but they're still spending money on accommodation. Now, a lot of those people also don't want to be in a crowded hotel. So it just so happens that the majority of that spending on accommodations is going into Airbnb rather than going into hotel chains. And so you've got this sort of perfect storm where some of the biggest tourism spenders in the entire world are stuck within their own country, stuck within America, and they're spending their money on Airbnbs and short-term rentals rather than spending it on hotels. It's crazy to think that this is actually a really massive opportunity for Airbnb. Not only that, but also what we're seeing is that in most major markets around America, you're seeing demand go up and average daily rates skyrocket as well, meaning that you're bringing more revenue per night on your properties because the supply has gone down. So competition is much less fierce. You know, if you're looking for an Airbnb, it's going to be a lot harder to find one. There's not as many listings on Airbnb. Now, why is that? Well, it's because a lot of Airbnb hosts were over leveraged on their properties. Quite simply put, they either rented the property and hoped to flip it onto Airbnb, and as we all know, that model pretty much died with coronavirus and everything that happened there, Or what else might have happened is that they just got a mortgage that they couldn't afford, and for whatever reason, they had to transition that property over to a long-term rental. So a lot of properties that used to be on Airbnb, used to be on short-term rental, are now either being sold or they're being put onto long-term rental. So the supply of short-term rental accommodations has gone down, meaning that if you list a property on Airbnb, you now have less competition than ever and more demand than ever for your property. And so that is where you have this opportunity that's been created that, like I said, is something that we haven't really seen in the last decade. If there's ever been a time to get started on Airbnb, funnily enough, it's right now in the midst of a global tourism meltdown. Who would have thought? So there's this absolutely massive opportunity right now. What we're seeing is that there's also an equally massive opportunity for anyone who wants to get started managing properties on Airbnb. The reason being is that most hosts who are still on the platform are unsure of how to navigate things. They need help managing properties. That need is greater than ever because, quite frankly, the environment that we're in right now is so dynamic. There's so much changing day to day that they need someone who's a professional, who has the right skills, the right tools, and can spend the time to really optimize the performance of their properties. We have some students who we work with who've literally gotten $16,000 in revenue on one single property over the last month. Having 30 out of 31 days booked. It was their best month ever managing this property, just because they knew what levers to pull. They knew when to increase the prices. They didn't let it get booked up too far in advance at low rates. They knew how to navigate the waters and were able to make this property perform like it's never performed before. And that's the real opportunity here of working with a management company, working with a professional who knows what they're doing. And so a lot of hosts are looking for that. Not to mention the fact that there are a ton of hosts, or a ton of property owners, I should say, who want to get in on this action, who are seeing the early signs of this massive opportunity. And so they want to get in on this huge opportunity, but they don't know how to put their property on Airbnb. So what they're doing is they're turning to professional property managers like ourselves. Now, again, if you want to learn more about how to become a property manager for Airbnb properties and how to earn a full-time income managing properties on Airbnb, then you can just click the link down below. I've got a completely free training. It's actually a brand new one that I just put together that walks through each one of the steps that you're going to need to take in order to go from absolute zero to building your business successfully and managing properties on Airbnb. Quite frankly, there has never been a better time in the last 10 years to get started on Airbnb. This opportunity kind of came out of nowhere. It's really unexpected, and a lot of people are not seeing it yet. So if you want to get in on this at the perfect time, then I really highly recommend you check out that training down below. One of the cool things is that over the next 6 to 12 months, we're likely going to see absolutely massive growth in Airbnbs, especially in the United States. And the people who are going to do the best are the people that are getting in on it now. Yes, in 6 months' time, it's still going to be an okay time to get started on Airbnb. It's not like the opportunity is going to completely dry up and go away. But if you're able to really ride this wave all the way up and get to that 6-month mark with a bunch of experience, with some properties already under management, you're going to be in an insanely great position moving forward from there. So I highly recommend checking out that training down below. If this is something you're interested in getting started, if it's something that you've been kind of sitting on the fence on, you've been thinking about for a little while now, there honestly has never been a better time to get started. The opportunity right now is massive, and we have clients all over the United States and different parts of the world who are doing insanely well with this right now. So highly recommend checking that out. I hope this has been a really valuable video for you. It's really been interesting for me to see what's going on in the Airbnb space as of late, and to see this, this potential threat turn into a massive opportunity for us. That's been really, really cool. And we are seeing that in a lot of major markets around the world, this same sort of trend is happening, where you're seeing a massive uptick in demand, a downturn in supply, and this huge, huge opportunity there. So again, if you found this video valuable, give it a quick thumbs up. It does help me out tremendously with YouTube's algorithm if you just click that little like button in the corner. If you're new to the channel here, then please just hit that subscribe button. We're gonna post 2 new videos every single week, talking about all things Airbnb and how to make money on Airbnb. So if you're interested in that, then just subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you in the next video.